Welcome to the Hollywoodbets Durban July preview. It's a very exciting race meeting. I think it's a bit of an institution. There's July fever throughout the whole of KZN, specifically in and around Hollywoodbets Greyville. The course is looking outstanding. It's had all sorts of revamps. We've got new lights. It's just all happening at Race Coast KZN. So looking forward to a 12 race meeting. And before we get into it, there's lots of important details you need to know. Specifically, Hollywoodbets will be hosting their 50% deposits bonus. The promotion runs from Friday the 27th of June, so already in play, get involved, all the way up until the 6th of July 2025. All deposits up to 30,000 Rand. That's an extra 4,500 Rand for you to bet with. There are also Hollywoodbets horse racing promotions with 2 million Rand in prizes up for grabs. Terms and conditions apply. Following on from that, we also have the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge. It's now open for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, where there's 750,000 Rand up for grabs that must be won. And there's also, most importantly, there's a share. You can have a share of 20 million Rand up for grabs for those who predict all 12 winners on the card. Take your picks now, and all you need is a Hollywoodbets account, free to play. Terms and conditions apply. Lastly, tickets are available for the Hollywoodbets Durban July Day, but they're selling out quick. So please, general admission is 230 Rand. Tickets are available at Ticket Pro, and there is still parking available, so make sure you get those. So just to make your day better, then you can just arrive, enjoy the horse racing, and it'll all be a whole bunch of fun. So Hollywoodbets Greyville is where it's at, and that's where you need to be. The other thing that's quite important that's happening on the day is record betting pools expected. World pools are joining for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, the grade 1. It is race 7 on the card, so just get involved with that. There's Win, Place, Exacta, Swinger, and Quinella bets on the Hollywoodbets Durban July, and they'll be commingled with international pools hosted by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. And the world pool totals are expected to be absolutely massive. So make sure you get involved with that. It's going to be brilliant. With me, I've gathered a panel, or let me rather say a collection of experts to take you through the race card. We'll have Robert Bloomberg, Justin Vermaak, and MJ Bolefeld all bringing a different dynamic and hopefully guide us through the card. Let's start with race 1. It is the Hollywoodbets Punters Challenge Class 4 for the fillies and mares over the 1,200 meters. MJ, please take us through the betting.
Yeah, Vicky, thanks to Hollywood for supplying us with the betting. Quite an open field. There's been some movements, small movements in the race, quite an open race, as I said. And Summer Winter is favoured at 4-1, found a little support. Ethereal View, 6.5-1 from 7-1. Happy Analia, 8-1 into 7-1. Ovinia Goddess is the only one that's been quite firm at 7-1, and then it's pretty much 8-1 barring the rest of them. So a little bit of outside support for Wings of Josephine from 12-1 into 10-1. And yeah, as I said, it's very open field.
It is an open field. This is the first leg of Jackpot 1. The likely pool is 750,000. So number 2, Summer Winter, is the filly that has got the support. Robert, do you think that will issue your first choice? How do you see the first race going?
Vicky, I'm going to be a coward in the first race and opt out. I think it's the worst race on the card. I'm not even going to try and find a winner. You can make a case for 10 horses here. If you held a gun to my head and insisted I pick a horse, I'd go for Happy Analia from a 1 gate.
There you go.
But in all honesty, this is not a race to get involved in.
MJ, are you going to be brave in race 1?
Not brave, Vicky. Just one thing, the punters must just have a look. There's a lot of horses found a bit of support, but they haven't stayed at 1,200, and they've battled over the 1,200. Especially like the favourite, they've only been 1,000 metres. One that we do know does get that will stay on as Ovinia Goddess from Dean Cannemeyer. I think it's a filly that you could probably follow a little bit. And then Whirly Bird has run against a bit stronger. Open race, but yeah, for me, those two. And then I would even, there's one at the Ethereal View. She's drawn 11, but she also hasn't got bad form over the 1,200. I'm a little bit concerned that the ones that are high up in the betting, that they're more 1,000-metre horses.
Also, Wings of Josephine got the claim 4 board. Glenn Cotton's always a good supporter of the apprentices.
Yeah, fillies and mares, field and more.
There you go. Race 2, it is the Tote Middle Stakes for fillies and mares over the 1,200 metres. This is the first leg of the Barpot 1. The likely pool is 750,000. MJ, the betting?
Yeah, number 12, Pink Pigeon. She's at the top of the boards at 2-1. Beavy's Delight, 5-1. Miss Lady Atrix at 6.5-1. That's My Baby, 8-1. And yeah, basically the field, once again, quite a bit of an open race. Obviously, Pink Pigeon seems to stand out at 2-1. She's tops the boards.
MJ, do you think that her Cape Town form is strong enough to to seal the deal here?
Yeah, Vicky, if you go on the average races that she's running, she's probably thrown in a bit of a deep end here. So she's a very nice filly. She's got a huge chance, obviously not drawn that well. She only had a couple of starts for Justin, but I mean, a run like second to Rockapina, we know what Rockapina has done. It should be good enough. She's a 3-year-old, she's up and coming, but it's not cut and dry. I think these other fillies could make her run a little bit. I like a little bit of a Miss Lady Atrix. I think 1200 meter form has been quite solid. Muzi ride for Yogas. The last start to So What has got to be a one to definitely consider.
Also with Peter Muscat's form at the moment, you can't ignore number 6, Bevy's Delight. Justin, how do you see this race going?
Vicky, it's also a very hard race. I mean, obviously a lot better in quality than the first, but still very, very tricky. I think Pink Pigeon is up in class here with a very wide draw, and she probably is best over 1,000 or 1,100 meters. So this might be, if she has to use herself and be aggressive to try and overcome that draw, I think she'll find the trip a bit much at the end. I think That's My Baby's got a big chance. She's a filly who had ability early doors and then sort of went off the boil, but came back to form with a good win last time, and she's been higher in the ratings, so she's got to have a shot. Magical View as well, but it's very open.
Yeah, it is an open race. Moving on to race 3, it is the Magical Zulu
Would you like to
Kingdom.
hear what I have to say, maybe?
What do you have to say? Yes, Robert, come on. You weren't
It's
too
only
brave.
races found a winner in.
You weren't too brave in the first. Tell us what you think.
I actually like a bit of Bevy's Delight, which nobody mentioned. I know on form it's held by Convocation on the last run, but I actually think Bevy's Delight will finish in front of Convocation. Her last run was particularly good in the Tibishina Group 2, albeit that about 4 lengths covered the whole field, so you've always got to be circumspect when that sort of happens. I obviously respect Pink Pigeon despite the draw, and funnily enough, with Justin mentioning 1,000 or 1,100, Richard, the day Pink Pigeon won here, jumped off because he had to catch a flight to PE, and he said, I'm not worried about that because she's actually better over 1,200. So maybe the 1,200 will suit her better. So for me, it's 6 from 12. I do respect That's My Baby because she ran to a 99 last time, 3 pounds above her rating. Obviously, there's a cap, but her form before that was poor. So she's going to have to confirm that. And then Princess Hannah's in really good form at the moment, but has gone up 10 pounds at her last 2 starts. So I'd go Bevy's Delight from Pink Pigeon.
Yeah, I think you're on the right. Well, I quite like Bevy's Delight too, which is important. Race 3, let's move on to the Magical Zulu Kingdom, 2,200. It's a grade 3, and it's the first leg of the place accumulator. The likely pool is 2.5 million, so most certainly something to get involved in. MJ, the betting?
Yeah, we've got the overseas horse, the Equator is favourite at 14 to 10. He found us a little bit of support. Magic Verse is from 5 to 1 into 4.5 to 1. Otalucan 6 to 1. Litigation, I thought it's got a bit of a chance at 8 to 1 is a bit of value. And then Field Marshals 10 to 1, barring the rest of them.
Justin, I'm going to start with you, the Equator. First run in the country. How do you think he's going to go? Obviously, just looking at pedigree and previous runs.
I have absolutely no idea, which makes it quite interesting that he's so short in the betting.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously a horse who's performed at a very good level abroad. He's an exceptionally well-bred horse, but he obviously hasn't run for a very long time. He's, the track conditions here are a lot different to what they are and what he's used to. He's a horse who's campaigned well over 14 furlongs, 2,800 meters. So it's always very, how do you assess the horse? My answer would not be to price him at 12 to 10, but that's where he is in the market, and I think that is giving other horses in the race a lot of value, including the likes of number 10, Magic Verse, so I think at around 4.5, 5 to 1 there. There's probably value in the race. He ran to 119 last time behind Sugar Mountain, and then obviously did not get penalised because he ran a place, and such are the conditions of that race. I think this trip won't be a problem. Very big run in Cape Town in the Premier's Trophy when he was second behind Rascallion, and I think he's going to be a big runner here. Also like a bit of Field Marshal, I think he's got to be respected. Otto Lucan is in good form, and he's got a lot of stamina about him, so he'll have a chance too. Just with this horse Litigation, I mean, he He's obviously a horse who's reserve one in the big race. And I mean, he ran a very, very good race last time when he went to the front in the Cup trial, and those prominent horses ran well because they went a sedate pace, which we'll elaborate a little bit more when we get to the big race. But very interestingly, this horse, his record further than 1,800 meters is very, very poor. If you just have a quick look at his form profile, every time he runs a bad race, it's been over 2,000 meters. In fact, I think he's 9 runs, 0 places since 2022 over further than 1,800, which is quite a damning marker. So I think it's probably better for him that he's testing his stamina in this race rather than the main race later on. Gives him more of a chance to see out the trip. But you know, on his form, he's got good form. It's just that it's a big question mark for me, that trip.
It is a bit of a concern, especially as they probably are going to go at testing pace. Robert, how do you see this race?
Well, the first thing, Vicky, is that I cannot understand the markup of the equator. 16 to 10. I didn't know that you marked up horses based on reputation. I thought form was the order of the day. The horses won one race overseas, being given, with respect to the handicap, as a thumbsuck rating, because they've got no idea what its true rating is. Hasn't run for 10.5 months, no prep, straight into a 2200. And I can only assume the markup is based on my good mate advocate Nigel Riley's press release when he said the horse had won a gallop, beating a Group 1 horse by 3 lengths. That Group 1 horse was Son of Raj, who has that reputation of a Group 1 winner from winning the SA Derby 2 years ago and hasn't done much since then. So, to me, wrong price. I wouldn't take 4 or 5 to 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up trading that price, and I think it'll blow off the boards. And then, of course, it's got to pass the TCO2 test first.
He was due to run. He was due to run, so he had been prepared for a race, but unfortunately didn't take part of that race.
I hope it wins for Nigel, but I can't have it, not for me. I think Magic Versus the horse to beat. He's still trying to recover from his 23-pound penalty from the Premiers, albeit that he ran above his rating last time. But since the rest, he's maintained good, consistent form. I think he'll confirm the form with Otto Laken. Like Justin, I think that Field Marshal is a runner. And to me, the potential upset in the race is Navajo Nation. I know there's a big question mark over the trip, but he actually ran to 111 last time, behind Immediate Edge, way above his rating. And if he's allowed soft fractions, from a good gate, I think potentially that could be the upset. So I do have respect for him, but I'm, in order of preference, 10, 7, 9.
There you go. MJ, do you have any horses outside of those that you think come into the race?
I don't think so. I think, as Robert mentioned, Otto Lucan has found his form of late, and yeah, he's done really well. He obviously still has to get up there, but still, he's a horse that's in form. You've got to respect him. That's basically it.
Race 4, Durban Gold Vase, the grade 3. It's over the 3,000 meters, so an absolute stretch where everyone can enjoy watching the start of the race and then do a nice loop around. It is the first leg of the pick 6, and there is a 2 million rand carryover. The likely pull is 15 million, so definitely something to get involved in. It's the bet that changes lives. So MJ?
Yeah, it's interesting, not interesting, it's actually Gareth van Zyl, who's really in good form. King Pillars is at the top of the board from 4 to 1 into 3.5 to 1. Future Swing is 4 to 1, Holding Thumbs 4 to 1, Shoot the Rapids 4.5 to 1. Nebraska is 7 to 1, and the ahead of the facts have found a little bit of outside support from 14 to 1 into 12.5 to 1. So obviously got no weight on his back, so a little bit of support for him. The rest of them all 14 to 1, barring that lot. So a little bit of support for ahead of the facts, but yeah, King Pillars is the one that's attracted most support and is favourite.
MJ, 3,000 meters, obviously you have to stay the trip. There's no sort of sneaking this one. Who do you like here?
No, tricky race, I thought, Vicky, especially with some of the horses at the bottom of the weights with 50 kilos. Over 3,000 meters, 10 kilos, for me, it makes a big difference. I thought Nebraska's a horse that's been around, he stays very well. He's only got 57 on his back. He's a horse that can certainly be quite competitive. Justin's horse, Future Swing, he's always been a very competitive. Last start, I didn't like the way he raced. He went up handy and probably not ideal tactics. But if he comes back to himself, he stays pretty well and he'll be very competitive. And a horse like Ahead of the Facts is a bit, I don't know, Justin, they like this horse. There's a question mark whether he's going to stay. But with 50 on his back, he's got to have a bit of a chance. He's a nice young horse, and he seems to be maturing, and he's going to, I think if he sees the ground, he can be competitive.
And they've taken him up for this race. He was in the Western Cape,
Yes.
so it was intentional.
He looks like just a Futura that's going to mature with time. And yeah, as I said, the 50 kilos is attractive for me.
It is indeed. Justin Vermaak?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good that the connections have rolled the dice and taken him up because he looks like a promising stayer. But he's got the 50 kilo. He doesn't deserve a pound more. Yeah, he got beat in a C stakes last time. So Future Swing been running in the Met. So the 10 kilos is there for a reason. That being said, like MJ's touched on, you know, he's rated 83. He'll definitely be a lot better than an 83 this time next year. You'd think he'd be much higher than that. So take a chance, roll the dice. He's bred to stay. He runs like he stays. He's quite up in class here. I like Shoot the Rapids. I think he's the best stayer in the race. I think he almost surprised last year in the Gold Cup as a 3-year-old. And I think he'll be the Gold Cup horse potentially this year. Again, obviously got all the weight to give away. Future Swing, best weighted in the race, best horse in the race. He's just, he hasn't won in a very long time, and he's had a few opportunities where he should have won.
He doesn't quite find luck, does he?
In the race he should win, he has excuses, and then he runs a huge race in a race where he shouldn't really perform well. He's one of those. And Holding Thumbs obviously is very consistent at the minute. He's a horse who likes a trip, and he's got to have a chance. But it's quite open. I've got a slight preference for Shoot the Rapids.
Robert, anything to add?
Yeah, quite a bit actually.
Crack on.
Ahead of the facts. If it was my horse, I would not be running this horse here. It's 22 pounds out at the weights with Future Swing, 16 pounds out with King Peles. One thing's for sure, win, lose or draw, it's going to get severely punished come Monday morning. So I don't think it's clever that horse is running here, but I'm not the owner and I'm not the trainer. Just giving you my opinion. Justin mentioned Shoot the Rapids. I make that the danger in the race. It's my second pick. Ran second in this race last year to Madison Valley, the stable companion. Stays very well and is certainly a big runner. The horse I'm big on here is King Peles. I think this is an up-and-coming stayer who's rising through the ranks. I think he will confirm the form with Holding Thumbs. What I'm concerned about Holding Thumbs is that in less than 2 months, he's run in the 1900, the Lonsdale, the Tote Derby, and now he's running in this race. He's had a lot of racing. And I really think that King Peles is still ahead of the handicapper. I thought that 9-2 during the week. MJ mentioned that he shortened was a huge price. And he's definitely my first pick. And I make Shoot the Rapids the danger. In regard to Future Swing, I know he's best handicap by 6 pounds, but this horse over races terribly. He ran away with Richard last time, and he tends to do that from time to time, and that concerns me. I can see him winning, and I can see him running downfield as well, so I don't trust Future Swing.
Especially over the 3,000 metres, you can't fight with your rider the whole way. You're definitely going to run out of energy towards the end. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you all. It's number 3, King Peles, number 5, Shoot the Rapids, and also respect for number 13, Holding Thumbs, together with number 12, Future Swing. Race 5, Splash Out Golden Slipper, the grade 2 over the 1,400 metres. This is the first leg of Jackpot 2. The likely pull is 2 million, and this is a lovely race for the juvenile fillies. Nice to see them all improving, and also horses, some of them have only had one start, and you don't quite know what they're going to be like. So, MJ, let's see if the market's going to help us.
Yeah, it's nice to see these young up-and-coming horses and all from all different provinces taking part. Green Diamond went from 14 to 10. She's drifted out a little bit to 2 to 1. And another dance for me. She's found a bit of support from 5 to 1, 3 to 1 into 2 to 1. And then Quick Step Girl is also one that's from 6 to 1, 5 to 1 into 4 to 1, and it's 12 to 1 barring them. So right now, top of the betting is 3 fillies taking each other on. It's Green Diamond, another dance for me, and Quick Step Girl. So yeah, interesting race, Vicky. I must say, I quite enjoyed Teeny Prince Louis filly that won last time, Quick Step Girl. She looks like a bull of a filly, really strong. She really improved from her win at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. She got no problem with Hollywoodbets Greyville. Looks like she would get the 1400. I think she's a little bit of value at 4-1. I really think she's a nice filly. Obviously, there's huge respect for, we've seen what Alan Greef has done with these fillies travelling around. Actually phoned him and asked him, where's the filly that won in Joburg? He says, well, unfortunately, I was drawn in the sticks and she couldn't come. I can't remember her name now, but he says this filly...
Golden Palm.
That's our Golden Palm. He says Golden Palm is ahead of Another Dance for Me, but obviously she's a very nice filly and one got to respect her. Green Diamond, also huge respect for her, but I'm definitely going to go for Quick Step Girl. I think she can run very close.
Robert, do you have any preference of the three, or do you like another horse?
You know, Vicky, I think there are only 3 runners in this race. Another Dance for Me, Green Diamond, Quick Step Girl. Quick Step Girl to me has beaten nothing. She's been impressive. She's beaten Barrington Bay, Captain's Envy, Tina Lovelace. And I'll come back to Tina Lovelace now. She beat Tina Lovelace by 2.6 lengths. I respect Green Diamond tremendously. 2 very impressive wins and could be anything. But to me, the horse is Another Dance for Me, and I'll tell you why. MJ mentioned Golden Palm just now, and he said Golden Palm is ahead of Another Dance for Me. I don't agree. I don't think Golden Palm is ahead of Another Dance for Me. And I think if you asked Alan, he'd confirm that. Okay? Now, Golden Palm got beaten on debut. It's won 3 races since then. Last time won by 10 lengths. And penultimate run won the SA Fillies Nursery. And we've all seen with Golden Palm direct hit all around the country how amazingly Alan has done with his 2-year-olds.
And he's got a great line because, like you say, he's travelled the country. He's taken on a lot of different horses from the provinces, from different trainers, and he can absolutely work it out.
He has. So with Golden Palm now in mind, okay, Golden Palm got beat at her first start, and at her third start, she won the SA Fillies Nursery in Joburg. In that race, she beat One Fine Winter of Sean Terry's, who's a very decent filly in her own right. She came out One Fine Winter and won the Group 3 Pretty Polly Stakes. In that race was Tina Lovelace, who she beat by 4.6 lengths, which is 2 lengths further than Quick Step Gal beat her. In that same Pretty Polly was Elegantrix, who finished 5.6 lengths behind. And she's second favourite in the following race, the Colts race, the Golden Horseshoe. Okay? And Elegantrix then came out and won the Group 3 Golden Barb, beating the Group 1 Gold Medallion winner, Good For You, and the Gate Crasher winner, Malmesbury Missile. So that is tremendous form. Why am I mentioning Golden Palm? Because Another Dance for Me beat her when they met by 2.35 lengths.
So so there you go. She stands out
To
head and
me,
shoulders above the rest.
to me, she is the right horse. I think she is a superb filly, and I think that she will beat Green Diamond and Quick Step Girl for third.
Yeah, Justin, anything to add?
No, I think, Robert's done a good job convincing me there on number 9. Because
You're studying out the door.
my hours of study. But I think Robert summed it up right there again in the beginning when he said of the 3 horses. And then I think if you go past that, it's like your typical juvenile features in these type of races where you either go short because you like one of them and you go with 1 or 2 backup options, or you go field. I went to see Quick Step Girl in the ring, and I watched her closely, and after the race, she's a very smart filly, very, very smart. She's beaten not much, unfortunately.
But as one will.
But as
She's
one
won
well.
well,
yeah.
And the other horses, with all due respect, haven't beaten much either. I mean, if you look at Green Diamond, now, she's got a great pedigree. She's been ultra impressive. But she beat Vanacam in a Group 3, which, with all due respect to those races, are juvenile plates with G3 and brackets behind them. All she has to do is come out the pens and not fall over, and then she wins by 5 lengths. You know, it's like a glorified barrier trial. Vanacam, I think, has gone missing in 2 or 3 runs since then. So, she hasn't really performed at the top level either. That being said, again, when she's run, she's looked fantastic. So nothing here has really beaten much at this stage, but the PE horse of Allen's, like Robert touched on, is ticking all the right boxes. And again, they've done very well around the country with the juveniles this season, and you can see this one going very well and joining them.
Yep, there you go. Look forward to it. So there you go. Another Dance for Me stands out for the panel. Race 6 is the Omada Golden Horseshoe Grade 2. It's over the 1400 meters, and this time the colts, geldings, and some fillies. So Elegantrix was one of them that I think Robert mentioned, who has been quite impressive. But before we go into the comments, let's see what the betting says. MJ?
Yeah, Vicky's Elegantric was initially favourite at 5-1, but now Malmesbury Missiles found a support from 6-1 into 3-1. He's now favourite. Elegantrix is 5-1. Strategy, get that right. Scanner's horses number 4 has gone out to 8-1. Military Command from 6-1. Went out to 8-1, has found a little bit of support, or 8.5-1 into 8-1 now. Intensity 16-1, 10-1 into 8-1. MJ Urendal trained Marco van Rensburg ride. He's found quite a bit of support. And Charming Cheetah is 8-1, and then it's 10-1 for the rest of them.
Well, there you go. That is the betting. Malmesbury Missile, Justin
Found
Vermaat.
all the support.
Yep. Do you think that he is the absolute standout, or do you think that's a little bit more challenging?
Again, so it's similar. It's like you got to be strong on him and then go short, or again, you got to go super wide here. I've always tended to go the shorter route in these races and been wrong. So a bit gun shy, and maybe would like to go a bit wide in a race like this. He does look like the right horse. Very good win last time. He's been dying to go 1600 meters. He showed that in all of his sprint races, of which there are many. But it's an interesting race because there's some horses here who showed up well in their last starts. Intensity is one of them. Bred for more ground, cracking good run, running on in the Medallion Group 1. This horse, Count of Ruin, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, was exceptionally impressive in the parade ring last time. Had a shocking draw and came from right at the back of the field to run a very good race. Charming Cheetah, can't fault the form at 8-1, just shows how open the race is. And Tin Pan Alley, also a horse who won very, very well, little mini feature last time, did it all on his own. So it's quite open if you're looking outside of Malmesbury Missile. I think for me, he probably just about shades it, but I'd say the biggest danger is a horse I haven't even mentioned yet, which is the filly. The fillies do exceptionally well in these races, as we see. The colts struggle to give that little bit of allowance away to them at this time of year. My only question mark with her is the trip, because she's a very quick horse. She's bred to sprint. The sister that Lucky Hoodlarkus trains, Elegant Ice, a very quick horse as well. And she's got draw 2 to help her, but she'll be a big run if she stays.
Do you think they can get away with the 1400 because of how the track runs? And it's a relatively short straight.
Yeah, well, it helps with the draw, and then it will help if, again, everything in horse racing comes down to pace, which is the one thing we can't tell looking at the print. So if they're not going hard and she's got a good draw and she's there without exerting herself, then yes. But if she's up there and the pace is suicidal, then no.
Okay. Wise assessment. Robert, which way are you going?
I like 2 horses here. I'll get to my first choice last. Just to touch on Elegantrix, who's my third choice. I also have reservations about the trip, but she's my third pick. Malmesbury Missile. I really liked Malmesbury Missile last time when it won, so I can't desert the horse now. During the week, there was 9-2 on offer, which I thought was a massive price, and I think he's definitely the horse to beat. But my first pick in the race, and I'm not sure whether Justin actually bought this horse or not, Tin Pan Alley. Did you buy him?
Yes, a 2-year-old sale, I think, yes.
I thought his last run and win was tremendously impressive. Never came off the bit. The way he quickened away from them, going that 1400 for the first time. If he gets soft fractions out there, I don't think, I'd be surprised if they departed from the same tactics they used last time, with it being as successful as it was. And I think he's going to be the horse they're going to have to run down. There was 12-1 available during the week. I thought there was a ginormous price, and I've got massive respect for him, and I think Tin Pan Alley is the horse that Malmesbury Missile has to beat.
Yeah, thank you. So take note of that. You could probably still find a bit of value about Tin Pan Alley for race 6. The main feature of the day is the Hollywoodbets Durban July. It's the Grade 1 event over the 2,200 meters, and everyone comes to a standstill for this. July fever is at its absolute high, and it really builds up to this. So looking forward to the renewal, the 2025 renewal, and it just to mention that for the Hollywoodbets Durban July, there's a quartet, there's R1 million carryover, and the likely pool is 10 million. So looking forward to the big one. And MJ, let's see how the market's looking, because I'm sure there's been a lot of movement since it's opened.
Yeah, quite a bit. Vicky also must just add, thanks to Hollywood, that they pay the first 6 places. So you go on the website and you can actually find one bit of a roughie to try and run in the 6, and there's a bit of value around. So yeah, listen, 8 on 18 is 15 to 10 favourite. He's gone out a small little bit, but not much. Oriental Charms 6 to 1. Immediate Edge is 7 to 1. The Real Prince is 12 to 1. On my honour, Glenn Cotson's done a good job in talking his horse up quite a bit, and he's shortened nicely from
as usual.
correct, from 33 to 1 to 20 to 1 and then into 16 to 1. So some proper support for On My Honour. So Luque is 16 to 1. Sierra Gain 16 to 1. Gladiatorian 16 to 1. Madison Valley's come in from 33 to 1 into 20 to 1. Royal Victory 25 to 1. Atticus Finch 33 to 1. Pomodoro's Jet's gone from 50 to 1 to 40 to 1 into 33 to 1. So a bit of support for him. The PE Raider, my best shot, is 33 to 1. Okavango 33 to 1. Confederate 33 to 1. Purple Picture 50 to 1 into 40 to 1. Rainbow Lorikeets 50 to 1. Native Rulers 50 to 1. So that's all the betting, with 8 on 18 leading the bunch.
Thank you very much, MJ. It was a very interesting morning of the gallops, because it's some people enjoy the think it's a decision make and other people don't. For me, number 3 On My Honour stood out with the gallop morning, but it doesn't quite stop there, because everyone prepares their horses differently. Some do a lot, some just show them the track. So Justin, your opinion, does it sway you at all if you see a horse put up a really good bit of work and you didn't consider them before?
Absolutely not. No. I think all the gallops show is who works the hardest on the day. This horse worked the hardest in his first 400. I think he went like 3 seconds, call it 18 lengths faster than the others, which was good that his last 400 was still good. But he had a good piece of work, and it was impressive. The gallops, for me, show who's moving well or not well. That's the most important thing about them. And I think if there was any horse in the race that needed or could deal with the hard gallop, was this horse, because he's been very lightly raced coming into the race. He's, I think, a horse who's got a massive chance of running in the first 3 here. And again, I'm going to be boring. All this is going to come down to is how the race is run again. It's all about the pace. So if they do what happened last year, which was front 3 horses go at a sedate gallop, you simply can't catch them, because they're good horses that haven't exerted themselves in the first part of the race. They then skip, and it doesn't matter how good you are. If Oriental Charm, On My Honour, and Madison Valley are cantering in front, you're not catching them in a 400 meter straight. And that's going to be the biggest issue 8 on 18 faces. So for me, I mean, he's easily the best horse in the race. His weight doesn't bother me at all. He's the best weighted horse in the race. He should be carrying 59. And that's if he's 129, which I don't think he is. I think he's 5 points better than that. So I think he's well weighted in every single aspect. I'm not going to look at what 3-year-olds carried 35 years ago and compare them to him. Very few 3-year-olds, if any, ran in the Rothmans July, Vodacom July, having been Met winners, going into the race. So he deserves every pound he's got. He should have more. The danger for him, with me, would be that from his draw, I'm pretty sure Richard will try and sit 1 or 2 off the rail midfield, which would be a great result.
That would be ideal.
The issue is then, if Oriental Charm gets to the lead, and On My Honour, Smunger's going to be very happy sitting just behind, and potentially another horse comes out in 3rd spot, and they're all very happy going a sedate gallop, that's going to make it very hard for 8 on 18 if he's sitting worse than midfield, because then he's going to have to now run down very good horses who are not tiring. And that's why I say pace is the most important thing. If Confederate and Purple Pitcher and horses like that trying to overcome their wide draws and go and make the early pace honest, then 8 on 18 will be almost unbeatable, I think, because the horses will be tiring. He's an absolute nailed on, like in England you'd call him a 1.5 mile type. For me, 2,400 meters is his absolute premium trip. Just the way he runs, the way he moves, the way he looks. He's just getting better and better, and I think he's outside of, as I explained, with the pace issue, I can't see him losing.
Because he's also a tricky horse in that he takes a little bit of time to get going, but once he gears up, he flies.
I think I watched, obviously, his last few runs multiple times. I think Richard is he's almost having fun with the horse in the race. Like, I don't want to use a rude word.
You 3 lengths
but
last,
like,
but get in the race.
He's so confident riding the horse because he's so good. He's like, oh, you know what? We'll miss the break. I'll be 2 lengths behind the second last horse. I'll come 3 wide. Doesn't matter. I'm going to win by 4 lengths anyway.
And then cross the whole field and go to the rail.
The whole, it's like,
You can't do it in a
it's
July.
like he's thinking to himself in running, let's have a bit of fun here, because otherwise it's too easy. Like, that's how the impression the horse gives you when he runs. I think he'll be more serious on Saturday. He's going to need to be, because it's going to be a bit trickier. And I think if he can be midfield 1 or 2 off, race,
That's it.
he's too good, yeah.
And do you think that, so I've put them in a pot with 1 Stripe and 8 on 18, exceptional 3-year-olds this year. I mean, they
yes.
are cut above quite a bit of what we've seen.
Yes, and what people don't also take into account is that back in the day, the older horses that set the weight in the Hollywoodbets Durban July, you're talking about horses like, you know, Pocket Powers and Heavy Metals and Pomodoros and those horses. They were all weight for age Group 1 winners in the season going into this race. So they set the benchmark of high ratings, and then the 3-year-olds who'd stuck to themselves sort of came in a bit lower. Now, the older horses setting the weights haven't won anything. So they're lower rated than, obviously, Oriental Charm won this race last year with a lighter weight. This season he's run good seconds. See It Again hasn't won anything. Gladiatorian is setting the weights. His career best run was 3rd in a mile 2 weeks ago. So none of those have the record Pocket Power and the likes had, and therefore set this big fat 60-kilo marker, which put the 3-year-olds down. The older horses have not accomplished as much as that group, whereas now 8 on 18 and 1 Stripe are weight for age winners against older horses. So they deserve the weight because they are that much better. So I think the betting is spot on.
But Justin, that's why people have lost sight of that previously.
Yeah.
The 3-year-old's bottom weight was 52,
Yeah.
not 53, and top weight was 58, not 60.
Yes. Yeah.
So now people are saying, oh, but a 3-year-old carrying 57, they're taking it out of context, because the horse should actually have 59.
Can you imagine him with 52?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a horse race.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on.
Robert, your opinion of the race?
um,
Find us some value. Do you have value for us?
I don't know if I have value, Vicky. I just to touch on my honor, I just don't think on my honor is good enough. I mean, it's 2 wins were in PE, beating Jack in the Green and Sakurajima. I can see the horse maybe running a place, but I don't see him as a potential winner. I think there are only 5 horses who can possibly win this race, but I'd like to mention a 6th horse, and that's My Best Shot. I think it's astounding what that horse has done. You know, for a 3-year-old to win 10 races from 1400 to 2-4 in the manner that he has. And I would love to see him run in the money. You know, he really deserves his place in the lineup. So I think that this is going to end up being a copy and paste of my Met selection and the Met result. I think 8 on 18 is obviously slung in, as Justin has alluded to. And I think Oriental Charm is the obvious danger. You know, normally people saw everybody cheer at the draws when Oriental Charm got a 1 draw. It's lucky that it's Oriental Charm, because the 1 draw is a kiss of death normally. I mean, I remember
Robert,
when
I wouldn't want to be draw 1 on this.
I had Castlethorpe in the July the 1 year, and when they jump out of those gates, the jocks are saying there's only 1 July and stuff the 10-day suspension, you
Exactly.
know. Castlethorpe got stuck right in the fence. How he didn't go through the fence, I don't know. So Oriental Charm, though, is a horse with gate speed, and
He's gate
And
speed,
he's
and
going
he skips quickly.
he skips clear. So that draw actually suits him. The question is he going to lead, or is Purple Pitcher going to try and get around him and go to the front? Now, one thing about Oriental Charm is he doesn't stop. And in all honesty, and at the risk of being critical, he should have actually won the Met. If JP hadn't come to the outside fence, he wins the Met, because there was no necessity to do that. But I think he's the obvious danger. In regard to who else, if you look past those horses, there are 2 horses with question marks in respect of the trip, but they're both bloody good horses. The one is Gladiatorian, and the other one's the Real Prince. Will they see out the trip? I don't know. I know Dean Canamo likes to drop everything in, but surely from that gate, he's not going to stick the Real Prince at the back of the field. and look to pass 17 or 18 horses in the straight. But if he does see out the trip, and Gladiatorians, who's a proper horse, sees out the trip, you've got to respect them. The other horse that comes into the equation is Immediate Edge. I think he is the only 3-year-old that has a hope with 8 on 18 in receipt of £8. I don't think it's enough, but you must bear in mind, forget about his rating of 108. He ran to 114 last time. So he's only actually £3 out on the handicap as the weights are structured in this race. I mean, we call it a handicap. It's actually a bastardized handicap, isn't it? Because it's got conditions attached to the race. But he's also on the upgrade, and he could be much better than his rating, and he is highly rated, and you've got to respect him.
He's only run 6 times too, so he's relatively unexposed.
He's an unfinished article at this point in time. But to me, it's 8 on 18 from Oriental Charm, and then a toss-up, as I said, between Immediate Edge, Gladiatorian, and the Real Prince, with a question mark about the trip relating to them.
I got a question for Robert. Royal Victory on his last year's run, he must come into it. I know he's drawn 17.
I don't know. I put Royal Victory into. I mean, I think he's done fantastically, and he's extremely consistent. But I put him in the same category as See It Again. You know, had their chances running in summer cups and races in Joburg against, with respect, inferior fields up there in comparison to what you meet in here. You know, place chance, yes, but I don't see him winning.
MJ?
Yeah.
Do you agree with Justin?
I agree with
Robert?
Justin and Robert. If 8 on 18 doesn't win, I think Oriental Charm, as I said, it's just going to make it hard for him. It's not going to be an easy race for 8 on 18 because he'll be in a box seat or in front and doing his thing. So he's going to make it hard for him. It'll be a proper race, that's for sure. But yeah, I think all also spoken about. I think it's probably covers the whole the race.
Yeah, tactics and pace are definitely going to pay dividends. It's going to be a very exciting race indeed. And I think we're just also impressed by number 11, 8 on 18, and can't wait to see how he's going to perform and fight off his challenges, hopefully.
Vicky,
come
just
Saturday.
to mention one other thing, you know, when people about the draws to do with the July, you know, the draws really count for precious little. If you go look back over the years with Flaming Rock, Dynasty, Pomodoro, drawn 20 out of 20, the 3 of them, Classic Flag and the Conglomerate, drawn 18 out of 18. It really doesn't actually make that much difference where you're drawn. In fact, you'd rather be wide than be stuck on the fence,
I
wouldn't
promise
you?
you, Robert, you come into the July, top of the straight, there are 4 or 5 horses that probably shouldn't be in the race and they can't maintain the speed and they just cause trouble.
Yeah.
And you get some of the horses when you're now in the pocket, those horses that are 3 wide, they actually go forward and momentum, they keep going. So a lot of the times horses at 3 wide ends up winning. And that's fact.
Is it just, MJ, with that, is it just based on you'd rather be following the right horse? Doesn't matter where you are in the race, following the right horse to pull you through more so than sitting where your horse normally races?
I think it's momentum, Vicky. As I say, top of the straight, you've seen a lot of horses, people think that the straight is so short that you need to get going. But you're still climbing. Just before you turn, you see a lot of times like the whole field spreads out, and that's the reason for it. It's basically the horses not maintaining their speed into this or past the 400.
Justin described sort of the perfect scenario with 8 on 18 made midfield 1 or 2 off. If you were riding him, what would you do?
Yeah, just listening to Justin and Andrew Fortune has worked him quite a bit. And looking at the horse, he's a baby. Eh? He's still a baby. He does his own thing, and he's not a finished horse. And it's surprising how much he matured from when he won the Met to when we saw him at Summerveld the other day before sprint race. I mean, the horse has changed. He's huge. He's become really a proper horse now. Mentally, he's still, like they've said, they were a little bit concerned that he's still a big baby. And in these type of races, you don't want those little mistakes. Good horses do get you out of trouble, but I'm sure Richard will be midway back, probably 1 off, if not 3 wide. I wouldn't be surprised to see him 3 wide. Justin will go mad, but he'll probably be in a better place. I promise you. It's probably better for the horse to be 3 wide.
Well, you're looking forward to it. And tactics play the important role as well as pace. Race 8, the Ridgemont Garden Province Stakes over the 1600 metres. It's the Grade 1 event, and it really is an exciting race. We see old rivals being Rescova, Double Grand Slam taking on each other on again, and you include Fatal Flaw, Spumante, Dolce, and Mon Petit Cherry, and it becomes a great bit of fun. MJ, what does the betting say?
Yeah, a lovely race. I can't wait for this, Vicky. Double Grand Slam, top of the boards, 3.5 to 1 into 3 to 1. Spumante, Dolce, she's found a bit of support from 5 to 1 into 4 to 1. Fatal Flaw, 5.5 to 1, Mon Petit Cherry 7 to 1, Rescova 8 to 1, and then it's 16 to 1, barring the rest of them. But yeah, top of the boards, rightly so. It's probably would have been last year, it was Rescova and Double Grand Slam, but now we've got 3 other fillies that are involved, and it's going to be a spectacular race, I think.
It is. It's almost like the 3-year-olds against the oldest. Robert, how do you read the race?
Vicky, I'm big on double Grand Slam. I think it's one of the better bets on the card. I think 7-2 is a huge price. I reckon it'll start 2-1 and shorter. Very unlucky last time. Everybody saw what happened. And in fact, was very unlucky in this race last year, you know. She's got an exceptional record at the course, which reads 4 wins, 4 runs, 2 wins, a second and a third, and it should have been 3 wins at the course. So, very well suited. And what's interesting in this race, though, with Raskova is I think they've met 7 times. It's 4-3 to double Grand Slam at the moment. Raskova's comeback run was also very good. But I expect double Grand Slam to confirm that. Interestingly enough, if you look at Fatal Flaw, she's held by Raskova on the Mallorca run. But Fatal Flaw has got a brilliant record over the trip, 5 runs, 2 wins and 2 seconds. And Strydom has had 6 rides for 3 wins and 3 seconds on her, and obviously gets a tune out of her. And Fatal Flaw, if you go strictly on the Empress Club, holds Spumante Dolce. So I wouldn't be surprised though if Spumante Dolce reversed that. I know her last run she ran second to 8 on 18, but with respect, Samin had to run second in that race. I just think that double Grand Slam, this race is tailor-made for her. And I think the obvious danger is Raskova. I think those two will beat Fatal Flaw and Spumante Gold. In regard to a horse like Mon Petit Cherie, she's held by Fatal Flaw in the Cape Fillies Guineas run, and she got the run of the race last time from a good gate. So I don't see her featuring this time. But for me, all double Grand Slam.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. Justin, are you sort of reading off the same sort of sheet?
Completely. I think the 3-year-old fillies this year are slightly behind the older fillies, unlike potentially the boys this year. It hasn't been a stellar group. I think of the sophomore fillies, Fatal Flaw is the best fillies miler by a good few lengths too. She proved it by winning the best 3-year-old fillies mile race in the country. I think double Grand Slam overpriced there again. I do think she has, Robert mentioned the record there, I think she's got the slight edge on Raskova in terms of ability. In saying that, if she ever shows a slight chink in her armour, then Raskova has enough to beat her. But I just think this race is just nailed on for her, and she'll win. Raskova, good comeback run, and Fatal Flaw, those 3.
There you go. MJ, do you have anything to add to those, or do you also see that sort of being the way that the race is going to pan out?
Yeah, Vicky, I think form and everything tells us that. I know it doesn't take much to get Andrew Fortune excited, but I did a bit of an interview with him about the July, and it started randomly, he popped up and started shaking. I was like, geez, he says, I'm riding double Grand Slam afterwards. Don't worry about these horses. So he was jumping up and down, and he's excited to try and win a Group 1 and coming back. So he says she's doing very well, and as you guys pointed out, we saw her also before the sprint, and Justin's done a great job. When she won here on, was it Mete, where she won, she looked fantastic. Those dapples on her were brilliant. And she looked the same on the sprinter, and we'll have a look at her when we see her in the week. And yeah, Andrew's happy with her, and I'm sure Justin and them are all confident.
I always like the way that Justin Snake describes his filly, double Grand Slam, because he says she's so aggressive. When she got beat, she was so determined. Her whole demeanour changed, and she became incredibly focused. And she's got that competitive edge in the heart that we always describe. You can't breed into a horse; they either have it or they don't. So
a bit like a trainer.
There you go, determined and competitive.
And sad when they get beat.
Correct. Andrew Fortune's not far behind either.
Yeah, but he just doesn't keep quiet.
He doesn't. Race 9, the Post Merchants, the Grade 3. It's over the 1,200 metres. This is the first leg of Jackpot 3, 500,000 Rand carryover. The likely pool is 3 million. So looking forward to that. MJ, the betting.
Yeah, another cracking race, Vicky. Very interested to hear what Justin and Robert will have to say. Yeah, the betting is Buffalo Storm Cody is backed from 5-1 into 3-1 favourite. Now, William Robertson was originally favourite. He's drifted out from 3.5-1 to 4-1. My Sensation, she's found a bit of support from 10-1, 8-1 into 7-1. Quite interesting. Outlaw King, 8-1. Outeniqua, 10-1. King of the Gauls, 10-1. And yeah, the rest of them are 12-1, barring the rest of the field. So Buffalo Storm Cody is currently favourite. He's found all the support.
I'll ask Justin for markets his favourite thing. Girls against the boys. My Sensation, does she come into the race?
I mean, she must. Draw 1. Last run wasn't that bad, only beaten 2 lengths. But I'm always a class overweight guy, so it doesn't always serve me well, but more often than not, the better horses tend to win. I think questioning drawn 13 was a pity, because this is a nice type of race for him. I mean, his sprint form, if you look at it, a length behind Ziasha, a length and a half behind Gimme a Prince in the Diadem, 5th in the Cape Fly, a little bit short for him. Stellar form. Best horse in the race, probably. But he's got the pudding, 62 kilos and a wide draw. And he's an on-speed horse. So he's not like a type of horse that you can then sit in from a bad draw and expect him to have a ravishing turn of foot. He's more of a get there and plug away. So he's going to have to use himself from that draw, which will make it tricky. Truth, Otaniqua, well drawn, handily rated sort of young sprinters, shown good ability. They got to be in with a shout as well. Robert's horse, King of the Gauls, who we'll let him talk about, which I'm sure he will for a while. And Buffalo Storm Cody, no surprise to see the betting support there, because very impressive. Very, very impressive last 3 runs.
Since he got gelded.
Since he's been gelded. I mean, a facile win, first run back. He then beats Mount Pinatubo, who came out in 1,000 after that and won an exceptional race. That's some good sprinting form, so he's got to be respected. Very hard to nail something down to win here. I think it's very open.
And interesting, it's number 11, Royal Aussie. Blinkers on. They did that in Cape Town over the sprint in the Diadem. It's an interesting move, and Pierce Stradom obviously loves to go forward with horses. Good judge of pace. Robert, the floor is yours.
Yeah, look, this is a tough race, let's be honest. One of the toughest races on the card. William Robertson, top sprinter, but look at his record at the course. 1 win from 9 starts. It's a much better horse at Turfentine or at Scottsville. Some pass him by. You know, Justin mentioned Otaniqua, a horse on the upgrade, and Truth. But if you like those 2 horses, you've got to like King of the Gauls, because at the weights, they finished together last time. I think Otaniqua is my biggest danger. It's well documented the problems King of the Gauls had since winning the Umgeni. He had no prep whatsoever through having an abscess and his legs then stacking when he came into the Merchants here in Cape Town. 5 months, never had a run. When they came out the gates, he buried his head in the turf, did a face plant, and if Richie hadn't thrown the reins away, he would have been catapulted over the top. So that was gone. So then he ran in the Cape Flying with no prep again. Another month that had elapsed. So took him back to Durban, started from scratch. His comeback run was very good. Andrew was very soft on him. He was a gallop short that had a lot of rain then. And his last run, he actually had no right to run third. I remember the following day we had a meeting here. Both Craig Zaki and Richard came up to me and said, "You all should have run last. We can't believe that he actually stayed on to finish third." The fraction Samanga went. Told him, "Don't bounce this horse. He's got gate speed like you won't believe." And he bounced him. And it took him 500 meters to actually get the horse back. And going through the 200, it looked at one stage like they might not even get to him. His work has been phenomenal. I actually sent the gallops to MJ and to Justin the other day. Tony doesn't normally talk the way he has been talking about this horse. Unfortunately, he never cracks a draw. He always gets a double-figure digit, but he's got that phenomenal gate speed. He won the Mgeni from a 14 draw. And maybe it works in our favor because he'll get across for nothing. We've got Andrew back on, the right guy. And hopefully something goes up the inside and we can track something. But I think he's a massive runner. A bit of a concern is the time of this race, 17:40. Because when he ran in the Merchants last year, you know, his horse gets very uptight. And the lights and all the rest of it. And Grant van Niekerk rode him. He's never sat on him before. He ran away with him on the way to the start and ran away with him in the race. So that's a bit of a concern to me. I think if you ask Tony, he much prefers King of the Gauls to Questioning. He's been looking after Questioning for the season. And as I say, all I can tell you is how bullish he is. And he thinks the horse will run a massive race, as does Andrew.
And do you think that Andrew's the right jockey because he'll manage to pacify him? I mean, he is known to be, have very good hands and settle horses. He doesn't really get them too excited.
Yes, because he won't bounce him, and I think he'll get him. He's got such gate speed. That's why he stumbled in the Merchants here. He came out so quick that he lost his footing, that he's going to get across for virtually nothing. There's nothing quicker out the gates than him. So, as I say, if he can just get something to lead him, because he is probably better, in my opinion, over 1,000 than over 1,200. But the Greyville 1,200 is a lot easier than the Scottsville 1,200.
Yeah, they can almost lean into the turn and get a bit of a break that way and kick off.
So
the
whilst
straight.
it's a very hard race, I certainly would recommend to punters that they put him in. But I've got big respect for Otanikwa. I think this horse is on the upgrade. Good horse.
There you go. Hopefully that helps you all in what is to be a tricky race 9. So looking forward to how that all pans out. And you are right, Robert, the lights will be on, and I'm sure there'll be a light show to look forward to later on that evening. So it'll be a bit of fun.
5:40 it will be pitch black.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, correct.
Might be pitch black outside. Have you seen those lights?
I have,
Like
yeah.
daylight.
Very good.
It's beautiful.
Party.
Correct.
And there's a race 13, MJ?
No, I'm alright, thanks.
Ah.
Scratched. Late scratching.
Not going for 4 years in a row.
You beat me the first year. You don't remember, eh?
There will be footage.
Correct. With Tiger at the bottom, eh?
They're all letting their skeletons out the closet as we move on to race 10. It's the Premier Gateway International Handicap listed event over the 1,600 meters. And I'm glad we had a little pre-recording chat. And I'm glad that Robert and I are on the same page. But before we get into those details, MJ, the betting.
Yeah, another interesting race. Vicky and betting suggests that it's quite open. Underworld is 4-1. Get Impressed is 5-1. And then I Salute You found a bit of support from 10-1, 7-1 into 6-1. So the only horse really that's found support in this race. And then Zats, he's drifted out to 7-1. Cheriano is 8-1. Reno Trogon 10-1. So Underwood tops the boards at 4-1. So very open, according to the betting, very open race.
So my horse is Zats. I think he's a fantastic horse. I think his turn of foot's great. Robert, I'll get to you, but I'll start with MJ. MJ, your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, Vicky also thought Zats, back a drop in trip here. He was a nice horse starting here, obviously, in the season. He hasn't beat Garrix here. Yes, he was weighted to beat him. So what Garrix has come out and done. His run to 8 on 18 is probably a little bit too much too soon for him. And as we chatted earlier on, 53.5 on his back, the mile will be perfect for him. I've got a bit of respect for I Salute You, really good form at the track. Peter Muscat is in form and ignore his last start. I think he's back in distance will serve him good, and I think he'll run competitive. But I think Zats is the right horse in this race.
Robert, tell us why you like Zats. MJ does, I do. It's all looking very promising.
Yeah, Vicky, I'm big on Zats. I think 7-1 is a monumental price. I think he'll start half those odds, and I wouldn't be surprised if he started favourite. The run you've got to look here is at the Politician. He was a facile winner. He was really impressive. We've all seen what Garrix has done, who he beat. I know he received £6, but he still beat him 2 3/4 lengths. In that race was Native Ruler, Dawn Till Dusk. Sail the Seas was beaten 4.5 lengths, came out and won the WSP Guineas with 8 on 18 behind him. Regulation, Major, Master, Wild Intent. It was a proper field, So I'm writing off the Derby run. A few of those horses, 3 of them in fact finished in front of him in the Derby. It's over 2,000 metres, and as MJ said, maybe a bit too soon. So I'm drawing a line through that. His comeback run now, since then after a layoff, I thought was excellent. He was drawn 12 out of 12, dropped out to last, ran wide into the straight and then switched in for a run, was doing his best work late, was not given a hard ride. Andre Nell's horses like to run up with the speed. If they don't dictate, you'll see a lot of them race handy. I think he will race a lot handier, drawn 4. He is £3 better off with Underworld for a 2.5 length beating, and Underworld looks like the foremost in the race. And I just think he represents tremendous, tremendous value.
And also, he's always been a relatively immature horse. I remember when he first started, he was a little tubby and then he trimmed up a little bit. But mentally, he's probably way better now than actually what he was during our summer season.
Yeah, look, I certainly think so. And I think he's better than the 97 rating that he currently has. I think he's a step ahead of the handicapper and a horse that, will win much more going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Justin, do you think the same?
Looks like it, yeah. I think the distance will suit him as well. He probably did. This Zappy choice is from that Zarkava Aga Khan family, and it's lots of stamina in it. But funny enough, she tends to produce sprinter milers. I think the Grey King is the 4-year-old brother, and he's what did you say, a 7 furlong horse? The Grey King, 14 max a mile.
Yeah,
max a mile.
Max a mile.
So he's probably in the miling camp as well, this guy. Rating way too low, 97 for a horse of this profile, and he's going to be well over 110 when we see him in Cape Town in the summer, I'm sure, after a couple of runs, when he gets into those more conditions type races.
And look at the weight, 53
Yeah,
and a
it's,
half, drawn
with
four.
an easy
He's
draw.
got everything going for him.
Sereno,
That's the run of the race.
But this was also Durban just got beat because the track never really suited him, and he was such a baby. Like Vicky mentioned, he used to play in the parading like it was like coming to gallops, not concentrating.
Yeah, so look, and we were talking about pace earlier again. A good example of what I was saying is the Cup Trial race. If you watch the Cup Trial, Litigation went to the lead. Underworld sat one off second, and Madison Valley sat third, and they crawled the whole way. And they ran 1, 2, 4. The only horse who split them was On Mana, who came from miles back. And who was also miles back that day? This horse himself.
Right.
He was sat last off a sedate pace to then only get beat just under 3 lengths. Fantastic run. So it looks set up for him. And then I think if you're looking for dangers, it's the old established guys, the Underworld, Rapidash, Get Impressed. There's just no ways they've got as much room in their ratings as Zeitz does. So he should be, on paper, he looks like the right horse.
Yeah, and also Sereno Woodley has so much confidence at the moment. He's, things are going well for him, and a confident jockey really does help the race and the luck in the running. Race 11, it is the Race Coast B Stakes over the 1600 meters, and MJ, take us through the betting so we can help the public through the race.
Vicky, typical July day. It's not easy racing, and this is another race where it's very open. Rich Folks Hoax is at 4.5 to 1. Dauntal Dusk, top of the boards with him at 4.5 to 1. Tom Iris is at 7 to 1. Xanto is 7 to 1. Mastership 8 to 1. Icy Blast 10 to 1. Kitchakal is 10 to 1, and One Smart Cookie also at 10 to 1. So yeah, Rich Folks Hoax is at the top of the boards, but 4.5 to 1 the field.
There you go. Robert, how do you find this race?
Vicky, I haven't really taken much cognizance of the weights here because my top 3 picks are all not particularly well weighted. My first choice is Rich Folks Hoax. I was surprised that the horse had 2 sprints coming back to KZN because clearly he's not a sprinter, he's a miler. His last run was particularly good, ran on well, and was actually very unlucky in the race, and I think he could make amends. I do have respect for Xanthar. A very good last run, third to Schwarzenada in the Secretariat, and neck behind Immediate Edge, which, as you know, is in the feature race, albeit that Immediate Edge 1400 was obviously on the sharp side, horse having a comeback run that day. And then Dauntal Dusk, who ran out of his socks last time. Everyone thought he'd beaten Air Raid for the second time. There's never been much between the 2 horses. Very consistent, and a horse that you need to respect. So my top 3 in order of preference would be 6, 8, 10, I think it is.
Yep, 6, 8, 10. I've actually always liked Dauntal Dusk. I think that he's always stepped up. Sometimes he becomes a field filler. At some stage he was a bit of a pacemaker, but he's just been so fantastic that you think, okay, well, is he in his place? And then he just steps up again. So he is a fantastic little horse. Justin, is it the 3 for you, or are we looking further?
No, I think I like Dauntal Dusk here. I think again 93 is just too low. He's better than that. 4th in the Politician that Robert touched on earlier. Very good second behind Air Raid. Improving horse, much better than his rating. Rich Folks Hoax, unlucky last time. Wouldn't say he's overrated either. And I think Tomiris might be long shot value. She didn't stay last time. And reasonable form over a mile. But I think other than that, there's not much in it.
MJ, anything to add?
Yeah, Vicky, I'm going to throw a complete outsider in the back here. It's Makazole. This has always been a nice horse. He's then been used once for a pacemaker. If you go back to his earlier form, to Cosmic Speed, Great Plains, I wouldn't leave that horse out of any exotics or whatever other bets. I mean, you've got to include him in quartets and that type of thing. I think he's quite a nice horse. He just needs to find his earlier form. He was rated 106, he's now 98, so a bit of an outsider.
Race 12, the lucky last is Gagazi FM, Class 4. It's over the 1400 meters. And as I said, sometimes it is the lucky last for people. MJ, the market, let's see what the betting's like.
Yeah, this once again, Vicky, 4 to 1 seems to be the price for the day. Master of the Desert found a bit of support from 4.5 to 1 into 4 to 1. Deception Pass is 4.5 to 1. African Prince 5 to 1. Open Highway's gone out from 5 to 1 into 6 to 1. Roller the Viking found a bit of support from 8 to 1 into 7 to 1, and then Lady Sabrina 8 to 1. Ishikwishi 10 to 1. down by the river, there's 10 to 1, and then Dapper found a bit of outside support from 16 to 1 into 12 to 1. So another very open race.
Yes, MJ, tell us how we're going to get through the lucky last. Can I ask you a question? Do you think that Stuart Ferry with number 2 Chelsea Flower has done the right thing by putting a claim for a board? Do you think he's going to come and steal the show?
Yeah, he can, Vicky. Probably need it, because at the end of the day, these races, jocks are tired. They want to get going, and yeah, I think, it's only got 56 on his back, so you could draw 2. The biggest thing is to get the horse out and get him into up there and let him run along. So no, Chelsea Flower's got a bit of a chance. I think you've got to respect the Master of the Desert, the money that's come for him. He's quite a nice horse. He'll appreciate back into the 1400. Not a bad. He ran second to Diamond Rock. It's probably not the strongest form lines, but it's a tough race this, I must be honest. I can't put my head down on anything. Roller the Vikings found a bit of support. It was a good last start, so the headgear's on. You've got to respect it.
Yeah, change of headgear often prompts an improved performance. Justin, your take on the last?
Yeah, this is desperado stuff, this, in the last.
Come on, admit it. You haven't even looked at the race.
I don't know.
He'll pass the bus, Robert, careful.
Half the jockey room will be stood down by this race. So,
look at
You
it.
think Andrew will still be there?
Yes, if he's won the Post Merchants on King of the Gauls and he's won the Garden Province on Double Grand Slam, he will be there.
I think he must be the right horse, because he's got good, solid Cape Handicap form. Ran a good second to Diamond Rock, and then he got a penalty, which he couldn't quite carry. But now he's back to what he was before that penalty, and he had first up Durban run a good run, and now he's second up in Durban, going a trip that he's won over with a good draw. So he looks like the right horse. Roller the Vikings ran second in a Progress last time, which is a good run, and he's been higher than his 82 before. So maybe that's where the support's coming from. But it's Master of the Desert just about for me, but without any real conviction.
African Prince?
He's been poor in Durban, I think. He's been, like you would say, if you look at his Cape form, Empire State, Dumbledore.
He's got to be competitive in this.
Then you'd say, but he's had 2 moderate runs in Durban.
It was all for a long time after showing promise. He must have had some kind of injury or problem.
Yeah, he hasn't set the KZN tracks alight, and he hasn't won in 483 days.
Yeah.
So it's an issue.
Robert, anything to add for the lucky last?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky race, but I think it's between Master of the Desert, whose first local run, as Justin mentioned, was a really good step up. Extra 200 metres will suit it. But I think the horse to beat is Deception Pass. He's 1 out of 1 over the course and distance. Won on the Poly 14th of August last year by just under 6.5 lengths. So clearly relished the surface. And he seriously runs for Musi. Said Musi's ridden him 6 times for 2 wins in 3 seconds. Drawn well. Horse who runs handy. I think that's the horse to beat, but with big respect for Master of the Desert.
Robert, your bet of the day?
Gee, I think there are a few bets of the day. My value bet on the day is Zeitz at current odds. The bet of the day, Vicky, I would say possibly Double Grand Slam. But in summary, I do think there are a couple of good bets. I like King Pelez in the 4th. I think that's worthwhile. I like Another Dance for Me in the 5th. I think it's between Tin Pan Alley and Malmesbury Missile in the 6th. Both, I think, which represent value. The July being between 8 on 18 and Oriental Charm. Double Grand Slam, as we mentioned. Zeitz being my value bet. That's about it.
Justin, your bet of the day?
I think Double Grand Slam stands out as the bet of the day.
And probably the banker.
Yeah, I think so. I think banker, and then try and go wide in those trappy juvenile races if you want to look for a result. And then Shoot the Rapids is good value. Zeitz is good value. But I think Double Grand Slam stands out.
MJ?
I like Tini's filly, Quick Step Girl. I think she won a very nice race. She's strong. Obviously, Ellen's got to be respected. And then in the Merchants, My Sensation. Draw 151 on her back. Those horses from the outside are the class horses. William Robertson, Royal Aussie questioning, but I think My Sensation is a big runner. I respect her. I think she'll go very close.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you.
All the best, and all the best to you out there. I hope you get your Punters Challenge on. Hope you get your deposits in, and looking forward to seeing you at Hollywoodbets Greville for the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. All the best for the Hollywoodbets Durban July race day. 12 races and all the best out there.